Ooh.
Yo! Oh, yeah.
We back.
All right, Pat, come on. The theme song. Let's get it.
Oh, there's a theme song.
Yeah, Pat. Come on.
Talking in color.
What?
You know that we the one.
We the
Andrea, Cool, Chris, Pat. You know that we got John.
Oh!
Oh,
Wow, you changed it up. You freestyle.
My one bar every week.
Yeah,
wait, you gotta add me in it now. Hello?
Yeah, you gotta add it. Okay, go ahead, Pat.
Oh, yeah, you gotta redo it.
Yeah, redo it.
Elisa is the guest.
Mm.
Last time we had chess.
Chess, and you know that they
Hey,
the
yo.
best. Oh, friends.
Oh, wow.
Good
Ga-
job, Pat.
guys,
Good job.
we have a special guest today. We have an old friend of ours. This is our friend Elisa. Yeah, give it up. Yeah.
Hi.
So we've been knowing each other since we were like little kids. Yeah, like
Over
6
10.
years old. Yeah, we're like 6 years old, and she's been wanting to come on the podcast since like our first
Day-
episode. Yeah, since day one, and like, but her availability was crazy.
Limited.
Yeah, was a little all over the place, but she is here. So whoop whoop whoop! Welcome everybody
Yes,
who's
sir.
tuning in on the live stream.
Yeah.
But before we get in, oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna introduce myself. I am one of your co-hosts, Andrea, here with my other co-hosts, John. What up, John? Say what's up to the peeps.
This is boy OG. Are you lagging a little bit? No?
No, I'm
You good?
excellent connection.
Okay.
Okay. And Cool Chris.
Maybe it was me.
In the cut.
Yo.
And our our singer rapper Pat. Our theme song singer. What up?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Before we get started, how's everyone's week so far? Or yeah.
The T.
What's the tea? What's the tea? I'm kidding. I mean, there's no tea, but how's everyone though? What'd you guys do the past week?
Let's start off with our guest. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Elisa.
Busy. I guess like the biggest thing, not a lot of people know, I guess. I was working in healthcare and then I transitioned out. I don't work in healthcare anymore.
Wow. So
Um,
that degree that you
Switch. Hey,
worked for
I got-
how many years? It's
It was,
just gone.
it was, no,
I'm just joking.
hold on.
I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Hold on. Yeah, I did get board certified to be a therapist. And then I realized that it was very difficult to work as a therapist. It's not a very feasible career. So I switched out and now I'm doing content writing. So marketing.
Wow, that's like two different fields.
Yeah, so two completely different fields. I did a turnover, and that was really hard because I feel like in a Filipino perspective, when you're talking about careers, that was kind of what my parents wanted me to do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you have to do healthcare because it's stable and healthcare is needed no matter where you go. And I chose to step out of that, which was really difficult to tell my parents. But yeah, that's kind of like the biggest thing in my life right now is switching industries in careers.
Yeah, so that's her week. No, that's like
month of my life.
I know that's like her month.
A month.
Past 2 months. All right. Is that it? Is that it? Like, I mean, I know that you've been out of Houston.
Yeah, I've been living in Fort Worth with my boyfriend, which has been fun. So I've been living with him, which is new for me because I've never had to do that either.
Living with I think that was one of the topics we wanted to talk about was like moving in and stuff like that before marriage. Hold on, was that your topic that you like were suggesting?
I think the topic was perspectives from generations.
Oh,
like
yes, yeah.
That was just like an example of a topic. It's like something I talked about with my dad, for example, is that I thought that living with your partner before marriage was a good idea, but he is Catholic, and so he practices that religion, or he's practiced Catholicism since he was a kid. And so his perspective is that the Bible says you're not supposed to move in with your partner until you're married. But for me, there's a reason why divorce rates are going up right now, is because people don't take the opportunity to fully get to know their partner before, getting married.
Wow, that transition though, but
Yes,
like
sir.
we could have. I mean,
So
wow.
I've had pretty lengthy conversations with my parents because we don't necessarily agree on certain things. So that was just an example of a topic that, like, perspective from generations. We were talking like,
that was a good
the
one.
older generation versus our generation. I feel like we think a little bit more practical versus they're like, this is tradition. You're gonna stick with that tradition.
Yeah. That's her week. Wow, that was a good transition. Dang, oh my gosh, we should have let her go last.
Should have hopped off.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good perspective.
Okay, I know that was a good one. Okay, how about y'all before we get into it?
I don't want to go after that.
You can just tell me what your week was.
Right?
What'd you do?
Oh, like, I just work. That's it.
Just work.
The same old routine.
Like you guys.
You guys had any life death experiences, like close to death experiences?
Whoa.
You, John?
Throughout my
Yeah. So this past like couple of days ago, I was taking a shower. Like it was like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. All right.
So for some reason I go to put soap on my bottom of my foot. And you know what happens next?
Oh, you almost slipped? No way.
I
No
fall
way.
backwards with my back of the head going towards the toilet.
Oh my gosh.
Grabbing the shower curtains, the pole falls down, water's pouring all over the floor. I'm just like thinking to myself, like, oh man, I ain't gonna go like this. Yeah, we were talking about bucket list last pod. And I was like, oh man, I ain't complete none of that. So I like position
You're a hard
myself,
drop, John.
my back on the toilet. So I was like, I was out for a couple of days.
Hey, imagine John's thing. Guys, how did he die? He slipped in the
Like
bathroom.
on the thousand ways to die.
Bro,
Yeah,
I don't ever want to die naked, bro.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I don't want them to find my naked body just like, dang, bro.
I didn't even think about that. I forget you're naked.
That's true.
John in the bathroom like this.
Oh.
Dang, John, that's
And I was
scary.
laid out for a good 2 minutes. I was just like, and the water just hit in my face when I'm on the floor.
Dang, that's scary, John, for real, man. That's like one of like my worst nightmares is slipping in the bathtub. Oh man, that sucks. And people have died from that.
Buy them shower grippers, man. And bathtub grippers.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, for real. Nah.
Anti-slips.
That stuff helps.
Anti-slips.
For real though, man.
Yeah, it was slippery. I dealt with that. Then I don't know, some movies that came out this past weekend I tried to watch, but everyone I asked was like, no.
Wait,
Yeah.
which movie? I want to know.
It was the one in Idris Elba where he was like fighting a lion or something.
Lion.
And then there was this one with a girl. She was like married to some guy, and like he was like, it was kind of like the Get Out type movie.
What movie is that?
Yeah, what's that?
It was like a black girl and a white dude.
Oh,
That sounds familiar.
the one with the Game of Thrones girl, the curly hair one.
Yeah.
Forgot her name.
I don't know who that.
I'm about to find it. But I wanted to watch that, and
Wait,
But they're like
good.
vampires or something.
They're vampires.
apparently they're vampires.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
That
It's
one's
the
out
girl-
already?
Hey,
Yeah, I didn't know
yeah.
that was.
I know. I know what
Okay.
you're talking about. It's a girl from Game of Thrones
know.
and the guy from
Miss Sunday from Game
Gossip
of Thrones.
Girl. It's a new Gossip
that
Girl.
movie
It's
come
a new
out?
Gossip Girl. It's a new Gossip Girl.
Oh, you talking about Max?
Yeah.
That gay dude?
One
Yeah.
that was with that dude that got his head chopped off. I mean, did he get his head chopped off, or she like fell or something? I don't know.
I don't remember, but okay.
When did it come out?
But anyways,
I want to watch that too, to be honest.
It looks alright.
You know, I didn't want to go by myself, so
Why not?
Nobody went.
I'll be
Watching movies by yourself is
For losers,
therapeutic,
bro.
John.
Don't go.
No,
It's
It's
therapeutic,
the
man.
best, John. It's the best.
No, I've been before, but those are kind of like girl flicks, so I want to
Oh.
be a girl.
I think it comes out on HBO Max in like a couple weeks. So
There you go. Should've
That's
switched
true.
it. Anyways, my week has been cool. School started then. Yeah, that's all I've been doing. I've been on top of things though. I already finished all my week of work.
good for you.
On top of things. Probably because I'm also unemployed, so I have nothing else to do. But that's that. If you guys are just joining, we are talking about life after divorced parents. We have two people here who have divorced parents. I don't know if John has divorced parents. I don't think so. No, John? Okay. So me, John, and Cool Chris don't have divorced parents, and it'll be like a cool conversation trying to understand how it is
Yeah, I'm really curious,
Yeah.
actually.
being a kid with divorced parents, because we don't know how that is, and I know that a lot of
Well, we're adults with with divorced parents. Now.
I know,
like
but we
it's
don't
really
know how it
different.
was like as
Growing
kids.
up.
Yeah, so it'd be cool to learn some things that you guys went through as kids and stuff like that. But
I didn't know
Also
your
talk from the perspective of like being a friend to somebody who was going through that as well.
Yeah.
Also, the name of the movie was called The Invitation.
Oh, the invitation.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, the guy from the
Invitation.
Descendants movie is on there. The
Who?
The movie. He plays a
Who?
pirate on the Descendants, I think.
Is it Boo
Ah,
Stewart?
okay.
Huh?
Wait, what's
Oh, not Boo-
Descendants?
it's not Boo Boo Stewart. Boo Boo Stewart's Asian.
No, what am I talking about? I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways.
But it looks good.
What was it?
Y'all check it out.
Okay, we will. But
We should talk about movies though at some point because I have really good ones to talk about.
we do it when we
When we
can't-
finish.
Yeah, when we
Okay,
like
cool.
can't,
If anything else
yeah,
to say.
yeah. If you
The
have
end.
anything else to say,
Yeah.
but
Patrick, I didn't know your parents were divorced.
Oh yeah, my parents been divorced since I was like 8, bro.
Oh, that's a
since
totally
8,
perspective.
Yeah, since I was 8.
I met you when you were.
You met me. Yeah, that was
Really?
divorce time, baby.
Oh, wow, I
Yeah.
had no idea.
So they were divorced when we were all like kids.
Huh?
So they were divorced when I was still part of the church
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, like yeah. When I was with y'all, like yeah, they were divorced type.
I had no idea that was the case.
Talk about.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the transition, like going from household to household? Like,
Oh
how was
yeah.
that
Yeah, how was
growing up? Like, did you like change schools? Did you had to get a new set of friends? Like stuff like that.
Not really, because like my parents, when they divorced, they only moved like 5 minutes away from each other, but like they didn't see each other a lot, so I didn't really have to transition between schools, make a new set of friends or anything like that. It was just the only thing that really changed was coming home and not seeing my dad there anymore type. And yeah.
Dang, was
Were
that
you-
weird?
Huh? Was it weird? Yes, it was very, very weird. But like I knew as a kid that it was bound to happen because of the amount of like arguing, fighting, those nights where like they would just scream at each other all the time, and I was like, nah, it's not gonna work. So yeah, it was really chaotic. And then when everything was said and done, like it got real. It was more peaceful, and like it was for the best.
Get that. Unless you were
What
saying.
about you?
So do you think, sorry, I just have a question.
Go ahead.
So do you think like as a
Just about
kid,
to psychoanalyze you, put them therapists.
I know, man. If y'all see me crying, mind your own business.
no, it's a very touchy subject. I think
Nah, it's
so.
cool.
My story is a little different. My parents got divorced when I was already in my late teens / early 20s. So I think that's very interesting because it gives you an entire new perspective of your parents when they're divorced at 8 years old versus
Yeah.
19, 20 years old. So I think what I wanted to ask you before we, I guess, transition into my story is like, were you at 8 years old? Like, do you feel like it has any effect on you now? And did it have an effect on you
In your
like
love
as
life?
even just like level of awareness at that time? I feel like it's so different when you're 8 years old in comparison to 19, 20. It's like, do you remember how you feel or how you felt at that moment in time?
Dang.
It's a therapy session for Pat.
Good question. Good question.
We're getting into it
I mean,
tonight.
so yeah, as a kid, seeing your parents like, split is never, it's never a cool thing to, go through. But yeah, like it really, their divorce really shaped me to who I am. I started viewing things different. I started seeing, you know, my friends whose parents are still together. I view them in a like I envy them. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at them, I just like wow, like must be nice. I go to like Father's Day, I'd hope I'd see my mom there celebrating with them, but I don't, or vice versa, stuff like that. And going back to what Andrea said, like how I view like love life, I guess I'll touch on that. It just makes you want to do better as a man. It makes you want to, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through because no child should ever have to go through a divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the what was the other part of your question? Probably was a lot to unpack. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, divorce is not an easy subject to talk about. With like my parents' divorce, like before I even disclose information, I do want to say that I have a very good relationship with both of my parents and I love them very much. But at that moment when it happened, there was a lot aside from like emotional conflict. There was also financial dispute that eventually burdened me. So I'm left with like financial burden. And then there was just a lot of, I found out at the same time at my parents' divorce that I was not my dad's child.
That blew me away. I remember when you told me that. I was like,
there was a lot, yeah. So on top of that, not only were my parents separating, I found out that I wasn't my dad's biological child. I found out my sister my sister was the only full child. And then at the same time, my mom got pregnant with Skylar. And so there was a lot for me to take. And so I feel like that had a lot to do. And the fact that made it worse is everyone around me knew about the situation. All of my extended family members, including Ellie, knew about the situation and nobody told me. And I was almost 20 years old as this happened. And so it was just so much for me to take. And it was very overwhelming. And I feel like it shaped a lot of how I saw relationships for a long time. Not a long time, but probably for like a year or two, where I stayed away from people, not just in terms of romantic relationships, but I think I strayed away from people in general because I felt like, oh my gosh, like this idea of family and love is now completely in turmoil and I can't trust anybody because I feel like everybody's out to get me now because no one can tell me the truth, not even my own family. And so it was a lot to unpack at that time.
For sure.
And I think it affects your perspective on a lot of things, love life, your ability to trust people, even your self-esteem and how you value yourself. Because I found out that my biological father abandoned me before I was even born. And so to know that is a lot of emotional damage. So it was definitely a lot and it took me a long time to heal. But I do want to say that despite that, I think at the time I took that advantage to blame a lot of it on my parents. I was like, everything is your fault. Like the reason why I can't do this is is your fault because you put me through this and you put me through that. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of self-responsibility to pick yourself back up and overcome that trauma. Because I don't think people realize how traumatic divorce actually is. Like it's very traumatic. But again, I think something important to note is that even though we do go through a lot of trauma, it's still your responsibility to pick it up and move forward, because unfortunately life moves forward. So I did too. So I started going to therapy, and I still go to therapy, and it's really awesome. I think I've grown a lot because I didn't realize like a lot of my self-inflicting qualities stemmed from my relationship with my parents as a kid.
It always
So
starts. It always starts with the parents.
yeah,
Well, I feel like
100%.
with everything, it always
It's your
starts.
job to learn a different path.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
May I ask, like, what was did you ask them, like, what's the reason why you kept this from me? Or, like, do you feel like it was for your protection? Or, like,
That's what they told
how do
me.
how do you feel?
I asked everybody. I asked my grandparents, I asked my dad, I asked my mom, like, why didn't anyone tell me? At least at the age of 18, you guys could have told me. I would have been an adult. And they said that they didn't want to hurt me. And unfortunately, they hurt me more by lying than not telling me the truth earlier. And that's what I did tell them, is that I wish you guys would have told me sooner so I could have at least processed it at a time where less was going on in my life versus now. Because now I've had to go through the divorce, go through a lot of financial conflict, and then on top of that, find out that I was abandoned as a child, and then find out that the father who's cared for me isn't even my real father. I mean, he's my dad. I love him, but he's not my biological father, you know? So yeah, that's what that was. The answer that they gave me is that they did it to protect me. It wasn't because they didn't want to tell me, but I think what was annoying at the time was everyone knew. People who weren't our family members knew, and no one bothered to tell me or even hint anything at me. So it was very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
so they brought this up to you when they got divorced, like after the divorce, or like was it like they were still together when they brought that up?
So
Like,
another part of the story is that it was actually during a fight with my mom,
Yeah.
and she blurted it out. And yeah, and so it was, again, we're on very good terms now. But aside from that, I don't think they would have ever told me had it not been for that argument that I had with my mom. Yeah. So that's how I wasn't like, I didn't find out in a way where it was like, Eliza, let's sit down. Let's talk about your family. It was more,
it was out of an argument. Dang, that's crazy.
So they would have left you like
it was
growing
random.
up into your 30s,
Yeah,
40s, like not knowing who you're.
It really would have been left as they weren't ever going to tell me. But because of the argument, it ended up being the truth. And that's when I started questioning everyone. And everyone was just like, well, you weren't supposed to find out. And I was like, well,
like ever in
I know
my
now.
life. I know.
Ever in my life.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm glad it came out. I think at the time when I look back at it, I'm glad that it happened. I mean, do I like that it happened in the way that it happened? Probably not, but I'm happy that it happened. I needed to.
Yeah.
But it was a lot.
Yeah, I know.
So going back to like what you were saying, that you would have rather find out when you had less on your plate. Mm-hmm. So let's say you were like, you know, my parents divorced when I was 8. Would you have rather found out when you were 8, or would you rather have would rather have found out when you were 20, I believe? Like,
good question.
Oh, you have more understanding and comprehension about the gravity of it all.
I think I would have preferred, if I could choose an actual age, like if I could pinpoint when, I wish they would have done it when I was 18. Because at least they could have said, like, she's fully an adult. There wasn't anything on my plate. They could have sat me down and said, you know, Eliza, we've cared for you your entire life. However, like, there's some information that we need to tell you and we need to disclose to you. At 8 years old, I think it's a lot to comprehend. I don't think I would have understood.
I agree.
So I'm glad that it did happen at an older age. However, I wish they would have done it in a way where it was intended for me to find out. So they were purposely trying to tell me. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but again, I can't control the way people react and the way that they respond.
Yeah.
But can I go turn off the fan for a second? And
Go ahead.
go
Go ahead. This is a
Well,
great
this episode is
topic.
brought to you by divorced parents.
Okay, no. Okay, so I'm gonna give some like kudos or what did I say? Like credit to our guest because I was like with her when all this thing was happening back in like 2019 and like she was going through it, y'all. Like looking back at it now, like she was I think going through a breakup. Like this thing was happening. Like she just found out that her dad is not her real dad. What else was there? Your exam for your your OT thing, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, how are you handling this like so well? I was like
That's a lot, man.
yeah, I would have like shut down completely. Like how people like go through breakups and it's just like the worst like like few months, but she was like, no, I have to study for my exam, I gotta do my exam in like 2 weeks, but and then she's dealing with her mom and her dad. I'm just like, what the heck? I'm like unemployed, that's like the only thing I'm stressing about, and I'm like more stressed than you are. What the heck? So
I
think you
respect
handled
that
it.
though.
Yeah, I know. I think how you
Thank
handled
you.
it
I
was
appreciate that.
crazy.
I'm
And
very proud of myself for that time in my life. It was definitely a lot, but I think when you're in a time in your life where you're going through so much trauma, you find ways to kind of cope. So my way of coping was to completely just shut everything out and focus on passing my exam. And so I did. I shut my entire social media down for 3 months.
yeah,
I was done. I didn't want to see anything. I was like, I just need to sit down and focus on myself because if I don't, I'm gonna lose it. And so that's what I did for 3 months. And then once I passed my board certification, that's when I realized like, oh my God, I'm board certified. I can get a job and I can move forward with my life and never have to deal with this ever again. So that's kind of how I coped as well as how I kind of moved forward. I was like, you know what, this is, if I keep thinking about it in a way where it's affecting me negatively,
yeah, it's gonna eat
then
you alive.
you just start to get depressed and you start to stay stagnant and you don't focus on your growth and then you just sulk and there's no use for that. Life's too short for that. So
I can ask, like, at that time, how was your faith? Like, were you questioning, like, God, like, why is this happening to me? Like, how was your faith at that time?
that's
How did it
really,
affect you?
that is a very good question. I think, interestingly enough, I think when you're at your lowest point, that's when I turn to God the most. And that's something that I've noticed about myself. And something that I've been doing a lot now is making sure I check in with my faith and check in with God, no matter the direction of life. But at my lowest point in life, that's when I turned to him the most. Because I was like, I need you the most right now. I still have one thing I pride myself in is not losing faith, even at my lowest points. But that's when I was really talking to him a lot. That's when I was like, I need to journal. I need to watch more videos because was I active in church?
Barely.
I was a Sunday school teacher. I forgot. But yes, I was going to church and I turned my faith closer to him at that point in time, actually. But yeah, that my faith is still very strong as of now, but I've noticed that is when I'm really, really sad or in a time in my life where I feel as though everything's not going my way, I simply just turn my faith to him and say, you know what, I'm gonna let you handle this. I'm gonna just do what I need to do.
Yep.
You tell me what you need to do, and then I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like my faith at that time was actually probably one of the strongest times in my life. And he was definitely there for me, 100%. And it's interesting because I think I can feel it. It's almost like a hand on your shoulder telling you everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's good.
that was me at that time. Looking back at it, it was definitely hard. It was definitely hard, but again, I think it's up to you to decide where you take your path from there. Because life isn't meant to be easy. I don't think you grow if life is constantly easy and easy flowing.
Mm-hmm.
What advice could you give, and Pat, you can chime in as well, to people who may be like dealing with the same issue that you're having, like they're in high school or something, and they're experiencing like going through divorce with their parents. Like, what advice could you give them, like as far as that, like seeking out help, or like you did, like you went to a therapist, or like just holding it in? Like, what do you recommend, or is everybody's situation just unique and different?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Well, for me, growing up, I remember just using it as an excuse to get out of doing something. Like, oh, my parents are fighting, that's why I didn't do my homework last night. Some petty like that. And then I would use it like I would just use it as an excuse to, like I said, to get out of anything. So I guess my advice for people who, are currently going through it, or who have gone through it and still haven't, grown past it, don't use it as an excuse. Just like, you know, see it, go through it, and grow from it. Like, be better than what you experienced, be better than what your parents were, or what your parents failed to show. And yeah, just things like that is just what really, like I said, it shaped me to who I am today. And yeah, just knowing that you want the best for your future. Don't use your past as an excuse for what you're going through now.
That's good. That's pretty much what I was going to say. but yeah, no, seriously. I think it's important to know at the same time that you're going through it. Yes, don't use it as an excuse, but also don't forget to give yourself grace. Because for someone like me, I have a tendency to be extremely hard on myself. And I think as the eldest child, I put a lot of blame on myself. Um, and so at the same time, don't use it as an excuse, but also give yourself grace, which is somewhat contradictory, but I think that there's a balance to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's important for you to feel what you need to feel. But at the same time, like you said, I think it's important for you to learn. That's the biggest thing. Learn from your experiences. That's the biggest takeaway for me is I learned what I didn't want to do as a future parent. I said, I don't want to be this kind of person, this kind of mom, this kind of partner in the future. So there was a lot of takeaways in terms of what I didn't want to be, and then start learning what you should be. So, and then in terms of coping mechanisms, I think that varies from person to person, whether that means, I do think that everyone should have an outlet, whether that's venting to a friend, venting to a therapist, journaling, writing songs, however your venting process is, it varies from person to person, but I do think it's important for everyone to let it out some way. That could be going to the gym, that could be taking a walk or anything, but it's important for you to let it out somehow, some way. It's holding it in and going to help. I tried that and it was terrible because I at that moment in time during my parents' divorce, I shut out almost everyone out of my life, which is a really bad idea because I needed to let it out some way. So that would be my advice.
Okay.
Is to find an outlet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I know that y'all's parents are like are dating like other people now. Like, how is that? Like how was that? Because I would be so uncomfortable like already if my parents got divorced and like they start dating other people. Like, oh my gosh, like I'd just be so repulsed. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I don't even want to. I don't want to see.
Like,
I don't
were
want
you
to.
guys like accepting of that? Like, man, I ain't finna mess with that person. I don't know you.
Okay,
Why are you in my house?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. I want to ask Pat because
What was the
obviously like he
process?
grew up. Yeah. So Pat,
like, how long did it take you to like be like welcoming to like the other person?
yeah, I know that Pat has experienced like much longer because his parents got divorced when he was young. So how was that, Pat? Because I think we've met a few
Oh, there's more than one.
a
All
few.
right, chill out. Nah, bro, I was not welcoming. At first, like, yeah, there were like my mom was dating again, and like there was some like people she dated that were like cool. Some people I'm just like nah, you could do better than that. And but at the same time, like I started looking for that father figure, someone that I could lean to whenever shit hits the fan or when stuff hits the fan.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what I was looking for the most. I wasn't welcoming because that's like you're not my dad, bro. Like you not
You're not my
yeah.
dad.
Like for real, like you're not my dad. And I'm just thinking about times where like, all right, I know I'm a kid, I know I'm gonna mess up. I wish you would try to discipline me, type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, so you
that
wish
type of
for that, like discipline.
no, like I just wanted to know, like
Oh,
not like I
like,
wish for
come
it.
at me, bro. Like,
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, I was just like, okay, like my mom could do it because she my mom, but like, who is
Yeah.
you? You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay,
you in my house, you like where you
I
like
get
you are
that.
nothing
Okay.
to me type thing. But then I started noticing how my stepdad now, how he treats my mom, the patience that he's shown, the love that he shows on a consistent daily basis. And I've never seen that before, especially with my mom, because my mom is like, she'd be on 10 sometimes. Like she does too much to the point where like, okay, I can understand why, my dad may have made the choices that he made to, leave her.
Mm.
So seeing that the two different sides of the coin, it's like, all right, like maybe you were the one for her and you're the only one on this world who can, take care of my mom, love my mom the way
Aw,
no other man can. And I respect that, you know what I'm saying?
I love
And so yeah, like it's a blessing and a curse when it comes to like your parents divorcing. It's just at the end of the day, as a grown man, I want my mom to be happy,
that. Mhm.
whether it's not with it's like if she's happy without my dad and she's with the man she's with now, then that's like I'm cool. Like I'm not gonna be like, man, like you with him now, you should have been with my dad. Like I'm not gonna hold that because it's not my life. Like it's her happiness. It's what she wants to do because
Mhm.
I'm saying, like it's like I said, it's her happiness.
Wow. Wow. Shout out to. I'm not gonna say the name, but because we
Shout
don't
out
say
to
names.
mom.
Yeah. Shout out to that man.
Oh, but something interesting that I guess we can talk about after is now that Patrick's brought it up about like your parents separating and being two different people. I think one really cool experience, the one positive that I've seen from a divorce is I got to see my parents as individual people, which was a
Yes.
very, very interesting thing for me to see because I had only seen my parents when they were
Together.
completely together for such a long time.
Yeah.
Like 19 years worth of life, where I was
Yeah.
like, this is my family and these are my people. And now I got to see them as completely individual people without each other. And so I'll say that was interesting. But what was the question before
Like,
that?
no,
Were
like,
you
Like
welcoming to like
No,
the new partner?
no.
Yeah, explain the process on that.
yeah, like, how
Sure.
was it like seeing like your mom like date someone new or your dad date someone new
For both of them, I was very
for the first time?
unwelcoming. I was very hesitant to meet them and hesitant to interact to the point where I didn't interact with my mom's partner until Skylar was 6 months into the world. That's how bad it was for me. I was refusing. I actually didn't talk to my mom for a year um, post divorce. I was very upset. So that's, I mean, like
As
now
you
that you're
should.
thinking, yeah, outside looking in, it was such a traumatic event for me. I could not trust my mom. I couldn't trust a lot of people in my life. And so I chose to wither away from her because I needed time to process. And it took me that long for me to say, I forgive you and I accept you and I accept who you're with. And even then, it still took me some time to build a relationship with that person. And my dad had a few other partners, and same thing with him. I was like, I don't feel comfortable because that's not my mom. And it's just a weird thing to see your parent with another person.
I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah, I can't
When your
imagine.
parents' hearts break, your heart breaks as well. So when you're seeing them with another person that, you're not used to, it's weird. It's uncomfortable. It's like having to date someone else again, all over again.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact same process. So it did take me some time to accept both of my parents' new partners, but like Patrick said, in a similar sense, that I realized that they're still my parents. They're just simply going in different ways, and ultimately their happiness is what matters to me. And they're adults. That's another thing I had to accept, is that they're adults. They're capable of making their own adult decisions with whoever they want to date in life, and that goes the same for me. And so, yeah, it took me some time to fully accept them into my life. It happened, especially because I wanted my brother in my life. This is in regards to my mom's side, but again, it just takes some time. It took me time to open up my heart to anybody after the divorce.
Yeah, dang, that's.
All right, I have another question. I'm gonna flip it like the other perspective. Like, what was your reaction? It could go for both of y'all, but like, how's y'all's reaction like from the new partner being like, did you experience like them being open to you, like trying to get close, like relationship wise? Like, did you guys go through that, or like, did you guys see that in that other person, like they're trying to attempt to talk to you or just to get to know you in general, or was it like no the first
Nah.
time y'all met the person?
That's good.
I
I
mean,
honestly feel like it was more of my parents trying to force a relationship more than
Yeah, I had a feeling it was still with the parents, but I just want to know. I was just curious if did they had that.
Have they ever?
obviously I feel like for them, they were probably feeling that, okay, I need to do what I need to do because I'm with this person. And so
Yeah,
whatever makes them happy, I'm going to go do. So if I have to go build a relationship with her daughter or build a relationship with his daughter, then I have to do that in order to make this person happy.
Mhm.
I do feel as though they genuinely care about me now. Like I said, I think on both sides, it took time for either party to feel comfortable with each other. However, I do feel as though in the initial process, my parents were the ones who were enforcing some level of relationship, which on my end, and I don't know about the other person, but I think on my end it was kind of frustrating because I'm not someone who enjoys being pushed when it comes to relationships. And so I was the one telling my mom and my dad, I'm not ready for that. So please give me time before I put myself in that situation.
yeah.
How about you, Pat?
um, I guess it's almost the same as Elisa. Like the partner didn't really come to me as a person to get to know me, but my mom was the one who really tried to push him to like, hey,
Talk to
you
you.
see this man right here? He's better than your dad, and he'll always be better than your dad. Type of thing, you know? Like he's what your dad wishes he was, type of thing, you know. And I'm just like, nah, bro.
He's not my
But
dad.
yeah, see, I was still in that mindset too, so I was like, nah, whatever, bro. Like I don't care about you, but
Mm.
yeah, you grow to love this person. You grow to see them as your, well, for me, like you grow to see them as your actual, as your actual
Yeah.
parent. Like when somebody asks me, like, oh, who's that guy? Like, oh, that's my dad, type of thing. So yeah.
I cannot imagine like going through that.
But
Like, oh my
like,
gosh.
but yeah, like from my experience, like you guys have like talking about like your family, Pat. Like you guys have a real good relationship with Can I say his name?
Go for it.
Say stepdad.
With your stepdad. Yeah, like I've noticed it. Like they accept him like as
Yeah, I love that.
their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah, so
every
it's good to see.
what I noticed about us as siblings, like every 5 years or so, we ask each other like, hey, so you think he's the one for mom?
Ah, I love
Yeah,
that.
because like we analyze, we dissect like
Yeah.
everything
I mean, you
he's
have to.
done, and then like I said, when I talked about the consistency that he's shown to my mom, every single conversation that we've had has been consistent. He's there for her. He provides. He A, B, C, and D. Like he does
He's the one.
everything. Yeah. So I was like, yeah. So I'm just waiting for them to get married at this point, really.
To be honest,
All of us
Yo,
been waiting.
they've been, man,
I
they've
feel
been
like I
dating for
feel like
too
yeah, I
long.
feel like he checked all the boxes
Boxes.
already.
Exactly, man. I don't know. One of them keep playing, so
I know it's been over like 10 years, right?
thanks.
Over 10
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh my gosh. I don't know what I would do if my parents were dating like another person. I wouldn't even want to meet them, man. That's weird.
So all right, fine. Let me flip it to y'all. Y'all been asking us
I know.
questions.
Ask us some stuff. Dang. We
Let
want to
me
be
ask. All right,
asked.
Been asking us questions.
so how do y'all view y'all with a full household? How do y'all view people who have divorced parents? Like how do you view their family relationships? Like what goes through y'all's head, or do y'all even think about it at all?
Like what goes through my head if that happens or something?
No.
Like
What?
you or like for example, like for me, right? Like you know that my parents are like they're divorced.
Yeah.
How did you see that as a child or even just a teenager
Hmm.
growing up? Like how did that I don't know what I'm trying to say, but how
Yeah.
did you view
No.
it? You know what I'm
Like
saying?
how would I
Yeah. No. I get it. I
Judge
mean.
people for having divorced
Yeah.
parents, or if you see someone going through, or if you see a friend going through divorce, you say like, "Oh, that's unfortunate,"
Like, what
or
did you think about it?
you know,
Mm.
Yeah, tight.
I don't think I thought about it much because I mean, like most, like you and Chess had divorced parents, and like it's a very common thing. So, like you don't really like, like think about it. Even in like in school, like, kids like won't really share. So like growing up, it wasn't like a big thing. Like, oh yeah, my parents are divorced. Like that was it, because it's very like common and stuff like that. So I don't really think about it much. Unless they what's the word, like express their feelings or what they were going through,
That's
but that
fair.
was rare. And so I didn't think about it much because if it's this like common and like people are okay, then I guess it's like I guess they're okay, but I guess they're not. Like knowing that, or hearing y'all's story that it takes a lot out of the kids and stuff like that, which I didn't realize because obviously, like, no one really knows what you're going through unless you express it. So
Yeah.
who knows if any of my friends were going through it? But like, when I was in school, like, everyone was fine. So I'm like, I guess you're okay. I guess it's a normal thing now that like no one really has emotions. But I mean, I'm wrong, obviously, because they're probably going through it by themselves. So yeah, that's that. That's I'm never gonna understand it because obviously my parents are not divorced. But let's let's see what these guys also think about it.
You can go, John.
I would say growing up, I don't know, especially being a African American, like having a two-parent household was like it's like this percentage was like very small. Like most people growing up, they live without their dad or their mom. It's a single parent household. So divorce wasn't really a thing that was talked about. It was just kind of how life was for others growing up. And the people that had two parents was like, it was just normal as well. So I don't really like my friends going through like a single parent household. It was like they didn't really, at least I didn't see it. They didn't really like express
Yeah.
like the pain they were going through. But outside looking in, I was like very thankful to have both my parents growing up because that support system and
Yep.
doing things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with one parent, depending on if you had your mom or your dad. So I can imagine it's very tough, definitely at a young age and even at an older age like you, Eliza. So I don't have much
Yeah.
input there, but mm,
Cool, Chris.
what would you say?
Oh.
At one point, I know I'm put it back on you guys. At what point, Eliza, did you decide to go get a therapist? Like I know you said you're at your lowest point, but like, what made you like seek that out?
So weirdly enough, it actually wasn't until about 6 months ago. And that would have made it over a year, maybe two, since my parents divorced. Because I didn't realize how much anxiety I was having in regards to everything in my life. Because I think as when I grew up with both of my parents in the household until I was basically a full adult. And that being said, a lot of their values, a lot of their perspectives in life, I still had such a close knit to, and I kept them very close to me. And then I started getting to a point where I was thinking about my life in a different way that they had planned for me. And of course, on top of that, their divorce affected my ability to trust people. And so when it came down to my self esteem and my relationships with people, my anxiety got to a point where I would start crying in the middle of the day because I was going through so much in terms of, oh my God, I can't trust people. I'm starting to have really bad, invasive thoughts about myself in my relationships with people. And then on top of that, I was starting to think of a career path different from what my parents had planned for me. And so I was getting to a point where I was getting so anxious about my entire life and questioning my entire path. And that's when I realized I think I need to go and vent to someone professional so that I can get professional feedback. And that's when I realized I think I need to go to a therapist to help me put myself together and make me a little bit more cohesive because I'm starting to fall apart. So sometimes it takes a while because I think one of the biggest parts before you even start therapy is accepting the fact that you need help and accepting the fact that I don't like saying you have something wrong with you, but obviously you have self conflict. And so that being said, I think it took me a long time, and that's why I didn't go to therapy for so long, is because I thought maybe if I just let myself feel it out, I'll get over it. Or I am already talking to people, but they weren't giving me the feedback that I needed, the feedback that I needed to hear, but I couldn't accept that at the time. And so it took me some time to give into the idea of going to seek professional help because I didn't have the courage to accept that I needed help.
Mm.
So the support system around you, you really didn't trust, like you said. Like your close friends at the time, were they like supportive, or they just didn't really understand, or because they haven't been
Oh,
through that situation before?
they were extremely supportive. They were super supportive about everything that I needed to say. I needed to say about how I felt about myself and how I felt that I didn't have a good perspective on relationships because my parents went through a really bad relationship and what if that happens to me? And I built this huge wall and I couldn't talk about myself in a way that was open and truthful. And everyone around me was super supportive of that, but I needed a structured way to get over that. And that's what a therapist does. Is a therapist, they not only listen to you, but they give you a structured process into getting over that. And then you bring up your past and you bring up, you know, a lot of invasive thoughts that for me, it was anxiety. So I had to bring up a lot of invasive thoughts that I've been having. And they do it in a way where it's scientifically based evidence on how to get over those things. And so even though it is suggested that you talk to people and that you vent to people, a lot of the times they're just going to sympathize with you. They're just going to say, oh, I understand your pain. I feel your pain. But they don't know how to necessarily give you the advice because a lot of the times they've never been through what you've gone through. Whereas a therapist, it's a little different because not only do they empathize with you or sympathize with you, they're trying to give you a way to get over that. They're giving you advice that's been scientifically proven to help you get over what you need to. They're giving you that push. So it's a little bit different. It's a lot different, actually.
I'm finna get me a therapist, man. I feel
Yeah,
like I need one
man.
low key, bro.
Everyone
It's-
needs a therapist, like no matter if you're going through it or not, man. It's just a good like it's a good
It is.
yeah.
And I think at the time, like I think in current years, going to therapy is now considered a norm for a
Yeah.
lot of people because our generation is experiencing so much anxiety and so much trauma, I feel like. Whereas before, this is another conversation that we can also get into. Telling my parents that I was going to therapy was very hard for me because I think this could also just be an opinion, but I think in Asian American culture, when you're grown up in a very traditional household, when you're telling your parents about things like, oh, I feel like I have anxiety, their first and foremost reaction is just get over it.
Yeah.
Just over your
It's
anxiety.
very
Facts.
taboo. Like that like
Facts.
topic is very taboo.
And so I was getting a lot of support from external family members.
Don't say that in a black household. Man, you weak.
Nah, bro.
So I feel like when you're growing up in a very,
Get over
exactly, get over it.
it.
Yeah.
That was really hard to explain to my parents. I was terrified.
People got it worse.
Exactly. You have food on the table. You have food on the table. You have a job. You're fine. Get over it.
Yeah, but they don't understand that like that everyone's feelings is valid. Like no matter how hard like people are going through it. Like I might be just going through like I don't know like school and like I'm failing school and like there's someone whose grandma's dying and like I think people shouldn't compare pain because pain is pain. If you invalidate like someone else's feelings, like that's just bad. You know, it's just like, oh, like even though like my parents aren't like dying or something like that, like I shouldn't be able to feel pain as well because if they're going it like, what am I trying to say? If they are going through much worse than I am, then like I should be okay with my pain. But no, that's not like a good thing. Like I think parents like doing that, or I guess older people. I've had people say, I mean, you know, like you have like clothes on your back or like you have a roof over your head, like you have a good but like it's like okay, so it means that if I have all these resources, I'm not I don't know allowed to feel pain as well. You know what I'm saying? So like everyone's feelings is valid, like no matter how bad it is. That should be like one of the things people should understand. You know, and you know, and I think it's also healthy for us to understand that as well. Like if you're going through it, and like I guess you're trying to get over it. Don't try to like compare your pain to someone else's, and be like, oh no, it's okay. I'm not going through it. It's like it's fine, because if they're going through all this stuff, like compared to mine, it's like it's nothing. I shouldn't worry about that. But you should worry about it because it's still pain. You know what I'm saying? So that's a thing that I learned, which is very helpful.
Well, one thing I think that really going back to parents kind of just dismissing the fact that you have some sort of mental health concerns and them dismissing it, I feel like a lot of that comes through generational trauma.
For sure.
And I think in their generation, what they were taught was to work hard, play hard, and nothing else really mattered. It was work, work, work. Even now I can see it. Even in my parents, they're just continuously just working, and they don't think about anything aside from that. And so when you're growing up in that kind of household, and I feel like we can all relate to this, our parents worked very hard to get here, to get to where they are. They migrated from the States with nothing. They migrated to the States with nothing. I mean, my parents really came from the ground up. And so they had to build tough skin in order to get where they are at. Mm-hmm. But I do feel as though their experiences are a little bit different than ours, which is why they have such a different mentality than how we view ourselves and why we take care of our mental health versus they don't really care about that as much. So I think that's very interesting from a generational perspective, that they just have a completely different mindset because they were raised in a completely different generation with a completely different mindset. Whereas we have
Yeah.
different issues and different concerns.
Yeah.
So that's just my take.
I think
Like, so life after divorce. In hindsight, looking back, do you agree, like, if two people don't, like, they're married, right? Like, we're all Christians, right? So we know what it is when it comes to divorce. Like, they don't, it's not accepting. So do you feel like um it's toxic to be together? Like, let's say your parents, for instance, were together
Oh, they,
and
they
it was
need,
like a toxic situation. Like,
they need to
you
separate.
still, like, you being selfish, like, you're still my parents, I still want y'all to stay together, but it's not a healthy relationship in a household, you know? So how do you feel, like, looking back, like, is it a good thing that they did get divorced, or, you know, you get what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
Mhm. Patrick, you can go first.
Yeah, that's very good that they got divorced, man. Like, okay, so from a Christian standpoint, like I understand, like, you know, divorce shouldn't be an option. You know, if you need to work it out, you got to find therapy, find a marriage counselor, you know, find solutions to y'all's problems. But you know what I'm saying? Like we talking about an older generation where they don't believe in therapy. They don't believe in, like, if we have a problem, we're gonna work it out ourselves. And if we can't work it ourselves, then you know it is what it is. Like, well, one thing will lead to another, and then we'll probably get divorced. And that's why a lot of, like, there's a lot of divorce rates now. But yeah, like I don't know, like yeah, I feel like it was good that they did get divorced because it was super toxic in the house. Like it got to the point that it wasn't even just toxic between them two. It started spreading towards my other siblings. And you know, my siblings got affected by that. And I felt for them. Like, yeah, I felt bad for myself because you know it's my parents getting divorced. But I felt for them because, you know, they're my half siblings. Okay. So they just came out of another divorce. My mom and their dad split. So they came to America to see my dad, hoping that he's gonna be the one to fill those shoes again, just for it to fail. And seeing them go through a second divorce, that's a lot to deal with.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so you know, I just like, you know, life after divorce is just it was hard, but we as a family grew more. And then, you know, seeing my dad move on to another wife, having another child, and having his own family again, it was, you know, it was good to see it work out at the end with the right person, hopefully.
That's a tough question. I feel like it's not a black and white question. Like divorce can't just be like bad because there's certain relationships. I feel like, for example, if you're going through a mentally or emotionally, physically abusive relationship, 100% divorce. But I also feel as though I think it's just a good lesson to choose your partners wisely, and that's why I feel as though because I this is no judgment because I don't feel as though time is the right method of trying to identify a quality relationship because I have friends who got married within a month of knowing each other.
That's crazy. That's some old school stuff.
So, and those are some of them are very Christian strong people. But I feel as though one thing I've learned about my parents' divorce, like life after divorce, is choosing your partner wisely and getting to know your partner fully through. Because I've noticed when it comes to some marriages and relationships, is they don't get to see their partners. That's another thing. I don't like what we talked about. Living with your partner is important because you don't get to see that person until you're with them
Yeah, 24/7.
over and over again, and you see their habitual routine and you see who they really are. You see them at their absolute worst. And so it's such, I don't think it's a black and white question. I feel like it's something that is very controversial, especially when you're looking at it in a religious perspective. Because obviously, if you're a Christian or a devoted Catholic, you're not supposed to. That's biblical. It's supposedly, according to my dad, it's supposedly in the Bible. You're not supposed to live with your partner until you're fully fledged married. But I think for our generation, we're thinking about that. Not all of us, but I think a lot of us are thinking about it. Well, that's why divorce rates are going up, because people are getting married to people that they don't fully know.
Yeah.
I know people who are my age who got married about 2 years ago, and two of those people are now fully divorced because they never took the chance to fully get to know each other. And I know this only because I've spoken with those people. So I'm speaking out of not just outside looking in, but I've actually spoken with those people. And they told me I saw a part of this person that I didn't see before. But after living with them and after fully seeing who they are behind closed doors, they're seeing a completely different person, and then they can't choose to love them anymore. So I don't know. It's a very, very controversial question that I think in terms of divorce, like, should you get a divorce or not? I think there's a lot of things that you have to put into perspective before you say divorce is okay or divorce is not okay.
Yep.
Tough stuff.
Yeah.
It's only ask the tough questions on this pod.
Yeah, John got the questions. He's the question man. I feel like like living together before marriage is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. I feel like you should know. Like you should know how it is. Because if you start like living together after marriage and like realize that you guys do not get along, that this person is messy AF, and like you can't like
Well,
it's
saying
like
that, it's like you have to go through divorce papers. You have to go through
it's
financial issues. It's a
lawyers.
lot.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a healthy thing. I'm not saying like move in as soon as you start dating. You know what I'm saying? Like after a while, if you guys decide, because that is a big step. Like probably like if you're years in, I feel like that's fine. Because you're trying to see what the next step is, and then you're like testing the waters if this is gonna work like forever. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the people who say don't do it, it's just an old school thing, and I think they're just repeating it from older generations. I'm like, come on, man.
Bottom line is choose your partners wisely and get to know that person from the bottom, as in see them at their worst.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
really get to know who they are. And that takes time. Sometimes people don't open up for years because that's just who they are. So it takes time.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a whole new topic, like moving in together, but I think that's another part.
I mean it's great because it's like it's a good like transition, because it's all in the same kind of branch or tree.
Right. As a Christian standpoint, it's like you risk like having a child before marriage, and then let's say y'all break up. Now you're raising a child by yourself, and then you go meet another person. It's like anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean anything can happen, but
okay, you guys are the men. Would y'all leave?
What?
Would you for the boys? Like, would you guys leave if your girlfriend got pregnant?
No, absolutely not. If my okay, hold up.
Oh, what? Wait, hold up. Tim, are you watching?
This is all right. Hold up. Hypothetically, all right, is this my girlfriend, or is this just like a sneaky link type of thing? Like,
a girlfriend is a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's my girlfriend and I got her pregnant, like, no, I'm not gonna leave. Like, we gonna raise that child regardless of whether we're married or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Christian,
real quiet. Hold on.
Chris gonna be like, I'm dipping.
Quiet. Hold on.
It's like a small percentage.
Leaving.
You've been saying some things. Remember, like a few pods ago, I think one of the questions was, "Oh, would you date like a girl,
a kid,
who got a
somebody
kid?"
with a kid?
And it was like, "Nah."
Yeah, but that's different.
Okay.
But in this situation, no, I won't.
It's your own kid.
Yeah,
it's your own.
Your
So.
girlfriend.
Don't
You
abandon.
committed to this person.
Yeah, exactly. So if if you did what you did, then you have to.
Pay the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liza, have you seeked out your biological dad, or do you know him?
My mom has no idea what his name is, so unfortunately, no. She was very young. She was 17 when she had me.
She
was
had
in high
no idea. She has no idea. No idea.
My mom is very forgetful. I think anyone who knows my mom forgets what she eats like 6 hours ago. So to know who she was with now that she's 40 and she had me at 17, she has no idea. She does know that supposedly he's a sailor in the Philippines,
Okay.
but that's as far as I know.
Mm.
And I don't, that's an interesting question because I think when I first found out about the situation, I did want to know more about my father. And I don't think my dad found it offensive. Not my biological father, but the dad who raised me, he didn't find it offensive at all. I was only curious because I wanted to see what they looked like and if they had any medical history that I needed to know
Or
about.
other kids, man. Or other kids.
I didn't
Or
care
other
about the
kids.
relationship. I said, do I need to know about like cancer or
Yeah.
like anything?
Is he
Like,
diabetic?
Or other kids. Imagine
Oh,
dating
nah.
like your step half brother or half
Yeah.
I know.
like
Imagine you
cousin
have
or something.
like, yeah.
Dating your cousin or something.
yeah,
Ew.
exactly. I
Okay,
wanted
bro.
to know my medical history and
Yeah, you gotta know.
wanted to know who I looked like. But I think now that like anyone who knows me and my family, I think I look like my mom. I think my mom has really strong genes. I think me, Ellie, and Skylar all look alike. So
Ellie really looks like your mom. I always thought you looked like your dad, but then like when you told me, it blew my mind.
really, I
Yeah.
don't think
Yes, I agree.
I
was like,
remember.
okay, you just
I
had to
was
say,
That's
like,
funny.
I was so shocked when you told me this because I was like, because obviously I've known you like all my life, so I'm just like,
Yeah,
and I've known your dad as your dad, and when you told me
yeah,
that he's not actually your dad, I was like, no freaking way. I thought you were
yeah,
joking for a second. I was like, shut up. But then you were like, no, I'm kidding. Like I'm serious. I was like, what?
yeah, dude. So that's really why I wanted to know. Is I just wanted to know what this person looked like and
I would
in
too.
just the medical history. That was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for my dad now because can you imagine
He
my
stepped
life?
up.
That's what I'm saying. He
What's the
adopted
saying,
me when
Pat?
I
What's the
was,
saying, Pat?
Yeah,
not a
pause.
stepdad. I'm the dad who stepped up.
Let's go. I put that as a shirt. I give it to your dad, Eliza, for Father's Day.
can you imagine
Yeah.
like adopting a 2-year-old girl and just like for the boys? That's literally what my dad did. He adopted me and his entire family took me in at 2 years old and he raised me. My dad was 24 or 23 when he took me in his life. That's younger than me right now. I'm 25.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a child of my own
Yeah, that's crazy.
right now.
Yeah.
I want a child. I just don't know if I want it right now.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't even imagine what that's like to take that responsibility.
I can't.
And they migrated to the States around a year after dating or so. They got married and then they moved to the States with me. And he took me under his wing and raised me. And so just thinking about that kind of hardship and that kind of responsibility at such a young age, it's basically all of our ages. Can you imagine taking someone else's child and then raising them while having your own responsibilities as if you don't have your life together yet? And so I think I very highly respect him for that. And, if it were ever to happen to me at this age, I hope that I do the same in terms of being able to take that responsibility. But yeah, they were young when they had me.
Man, I can't imagine. I have friends who have kids.
Yeah, me too.
Like
I have
and
Ellie has friends.
Yeah.
And you know how old
Teen
Ellie
moms,
is.
Yeah. Teen moms is crazy.
They're 18, 19 years old having kids. It's hard.
I can't. I'm barely like holding my own. I feel like I'm still a child. And I see my friends buying houses and having kids. I'm just like, oh man, how? I don't know who I am yet. Or you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my gosh, dang, wow. Well, I think this was a great topic, and we've heard a lot of good insights from the peeps here who have divorced parents. Is there anything else Guys, you guys want to add to this? Because as we've been streaming for a minute. John, is there any more hard questions you want to ask?
Transparent.
Uh-huh.
um. All right. So different households. Well, I don't know for Eliza, but did you like go to your dad for one thing and then your mom for one thing? Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, I did that. I did that all the time. Like, if, my,
That's Pat.
if my mom had said no, I'm like, all right, dad. So you don't let your ex-wife say no to me? That ain't supposed to be the favorite parent, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Nah, I never said that, but like, I was like, if my mom said no, then okay, I would ask my dad then for it, and then he'd probably say yes, or I'd do, vice versa. But usually, like, my dad was the one who took me out to do, fun things, go to the movies, go to little, Dave and Buster's here and there, things like that. So he was the one that I leaned to for the entertainment part of, parenting.
Entertainment.
but my mom, my mom was the one who mainly raised me. She's the one who put food in my stomach, roof over my house, made sure, I was at school type of thing. Yeah.
And you had a support system like with your siblings too, kind of being there to. At least I don't know how you grew up, but I would imagine a little bit. No.
Really, honestly, like for
Like
me,
your older half brothers, like
honestly,
how were they
like,
receptive of the
I don't
transition?
know. Like we just never talked. Yeah, we just never talked about it. Honestly, like I don't remember when when it was happening. I don't think we talked about it. We just saw that they were fighting. Furniture was being moved, type of thing. But we never talked about the trauma. We never talked about how we really feel. Maybe they talked about it within each other because they're older. There's a big,
Gap.
almost a 10-year age gap between us. So I guess they had discussed amongst themselves, and then I guess I was just too young to really
Understand.
to understand or even just talk about how I feel about it. So I was just it was just really I was just really just there, just going through it while they handled their thing. But I want to say recently, but probably since I turned 18 to now, like we talk about little instances about like, dang, you remember when blah 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 happened and mom did this and that and my dad did this. Yeah, we'll talk about little stories like that and then talk about how we felt at the time, but we never really go in depth into like how we feel about divorce in general and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice. I was the eldest sibling, so and that was hard because I feel like as an oldest sibling, you're left with the responsibility because I have two younger siblings now. And so you're constantly being the person that your parents go to. I still get it from both of my parents to say, hey, your sister's doing this, or hey, watch out for your sister. Make sure that you're setting a good example for her. Same thing with your brother. Make sure you're setting a good example. And so it's very hard to have that I don't want to call it a burden. I love being an older sister, but having that kind of responsibility even now it's still kind of difficult because I'm still setting an example for both of my siblings. So I think it's different when you're thinking about it from an eldest child perspective, where you're the one having to take a lot of what's going on and then still shed light to your younger siblings.
Yeah, that must be tough.
I think in our family now, like we don't have that.
Have what?
That weight on our shoulders as like an older sibling, because I feel like me, my brother, and Isha are like matured enough, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I feel like that weight has been like lifted off of like if you're the older to another whatever. But yeah, it's still cool knowing that you still accept that role of as like the older sibling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
it's hard.
Are y'all
you guys turned out great.
Oh.
You guys turned out great from what I can see.
Oh, thank you.
Just seeing all that you've been through.
Yeah,
so
I feel like
responsibility.
Maybe it was meant to be.
It taught them how to
Survivor mode.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty.
It's a good thing. Well,
But I think a big thing is just taking responsibility for your own identity. That was another thing that was really hard for me to accept was that I think as you're growing up, you're doing a lot of things to constantly please your parents. You're doing a lot of things like, oh, I want to make my mom proud. I want to make my dad proud. I think as you start treading into your older years, you start to realize this is now my life and I have to take it and make it my own life. And it's no longer about pleasing my family and pleasing my parents. It's about living my own life and taking advantage of that. And that was really hard for me to grasp because my entire life, when you're thinking about it, we were in school for 12 years. Our entire life was, I got to make good grades. I got to do this. I got to do that to make my parents proud.
mm-hmm.
And then eventually it got for me to a point where I was like, this is now my life and it's not their life. And I need to stray away from that.
Agreed. Yes.
For real.
I know. Cool Chris over here been like, preach.
I can relate to that, to be
Yeah, you
honest.
see? There you go.
It's been a while for me to tell my parents like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do
I
that.
don't want to go to school.
And it's pretty recent too. When I told them, it was probably like mid last year, and I finally told them like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a break. I'm gonna try to do this, see if it works out. If it works out, then yeah. And if it's not, I'll go back to whatever you want me to do. But yeah, so yeah, from what you said, yeah, that's pretty like actually like what you said. So
It's funny how I think I mentioned this when like a few pods ago. I think this is when like Cool Chris was at the gym. He was like, I can't make it, guys. I'm at the gym, and and I think we were talking about I don't know what the topic was, but like I think it was parenting.
did you have a guess at that time?
No. I don't know what we were talking about, but like I think we were talking about careers, and I was like telling y'all how I have like bizarre dreams, right? I have bizarre dreams, but like my parents are so hard on him and like my brother to get like.
Yeah, I think that was parenting in college or
No,
Yeah.
something.
I was here then.
Were you here for? No,
He was
no.
here. He was here.
I was here for that one.
Okay, then I guess it was another topic because you weren't here, and like we were talking about how our parents are so hard on them like for not getting like I guess a job, and like I'm here like trying to pursue like fashion or film or music, and like they have like my full support, or no, I have their full support, and it's like the most impossible dreams ever, or like it's hard industry to get into and stuff like that, but like like I'm not getting scolded for for being like like dude.
Yeah, she had it easy. I didn't.
Younger siblings have it easy.
I want to know like why, what I'm saying, like why,
Like why?
yeah, like why is the perspective of like the parents like for like different I guess kids and stuff like that, because
Think about it. If you're the firstborn, that's their first child.
oh yeah, I mean,
They
yeah,
want that first child to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And so that's the mentality that they have. And
And
then
then
their
yeah,
second
go ahead.
child, they start to chill out a little bit more. Then they get to their third child, and they're like, oh, okay.
No, I think in our in our,
No, our family-
situation,
yeah, go ahead.
like you said, like since you're the first child, they want you to be perfect, but it got to that point where it's not perfect. So they go to the second child. They want you to be perfect.
dude, that's so true.
And then I'm like,
First one didn't
over
work
here.
out.
I'm over here. I'm like, it's not working out how you guys want it. So they go to the youngest child, and then that's when they have their full support on that one.
No,
They're like, oh, we see potential in you. I think
Yeah,
you.
see, no, because obviously I know that you've had like dreams and stuff that was like obviously like shut down from like mom and dad. I don't know. I'm like being I don't know what it was, an interior designer, and like mommy was like, no, like there's no job in that.
Yeah.
But like but for me, like wanting to be like in music or in fashion, that's more like way more impossible than being an interior designer. And she's like, go ahead, go do it. Like, what I'm saying? Like, why
Not-
is that
not-
like You
Not
know,
only are you the youngest, but you're also the only girl in the family. So I feel like you have that
That's true
privilege.
too.
You have that, you're the princess of the family. So like, you can
but
do
what
no wrong type.
makes okay? What makes my like? I want to know what makes them, I guess, believe in me more than him. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not in, if like my parents aren't encouraging him to be an interior designer, or at least like having a support or something like that, like how come I get that support and he doesn't, even if my
No,
dreams are way
I
more
feel like I get that
bizarre.
support. It's just
How?
how I approach it. It's just because like if I did something like because now like even now like they support me now because I finally like decided on to do on one thing and focus on it. Because like I feel like back then for me, my mind was like all over the place. Like I want to do this. At the same time, I'm like no, I don't want to do it. That's why
Yeah.
they're like, like make up your mind and
Oh,
then
I
we'll
guess
see.
so. Yeah,
That's
I guess
that's
it's
what
the
I,
Because
that's
I
what I was gonna
think
drive.
say. That's what I was gonna say too. I was gonna say like I think maybe Andrea was more set on what she wants to do,
yeah,
and like you were more like you said, you're like all over the place. Like you're not sure on what you want to do.
yeah.
So I guess the ambition part when it comes to picking what you want to do played a part.
I mean, I wasn't either. Like in high school, I wanted to be like a fashion designer. That was my goal. I wanted, to pursue fashion, and then I switched it up when I was probably like my second year of college, and I wanted to do film. And then when the pandemic happened, I wanted to do music. And those are all bizarre dreams. So I'm like I guess I've always wondered. I was like, why? Like, how come I'm not getting scolded for all these dreams that I'm having and
No,
having full support. You know what
I
I'm saying?
think that's a question y'all should ask your parents.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's the ambition thing. Is because I guess I have drive in my passions, and like he doesn't really express it as much as I do. Because everyone knows that I want to pursue all these things, and he just says it and that's it. Like he doesn't really show. So I guess that's a thing. But we're so off topic, but it's okay. It's okay. We've been live for an hour and a half, and I think we had great conversations. I think this was a great episode. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to come back on.
For sure.
I love-
Yeah.
I love
Hey,
podcasts.
bring her and Kim together, low key, man.
Yeah, for mental health. It's oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down. Kim is always down to talk about mental health and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm down. I love having guests here.
I love being a guest. I like podcasts. I like being able to share my experience with people and showcase what I've learned. And I like to hear what other people have in terms of their own perspectives. So this was
Yeah.
super fun. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I started off as a guest.
I know this fool. He was a guest, and then now he's a regular.
I was a guest.
Oh,
Now I'm a
The
regular.
regular.
He's a regular.
He's still a part timer. Still, he's still under that umbrella.
I know, man. He has 4 strikes, but it's okay. But Elisa, thank you for coming on. Finally.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure we'll have you again. We'll bring
Yeah.
you back for
I'm
sure.
down.
But that's it, guys. We've been here for a minute, literally an hour and a half. So it's a great episode. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, guys. Follow us in our social media platforms. Link or ads and handles are down in the description. Also, our guests' handles also in the description. We are going live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. So tune in next week. We will be having another topic, and let's see if we can get another guest on, because we love having guests on. But that's it. I'm your host, Andrea, with my co-hosts, Patrick, Cool Chris, and John, and our guest, Elisa. Thank you for tuning in to Talking in Color. We'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.